Welcome to the Hyperpolyglot Activist. Learn languages, make a difference. My name is Dr. Carlos Yebra Lopez, and today we're here as promised to discuss how the reality of the Polyglot Conference 2022 met or not the expectations that I had prior to it. Now, first things first, I almost didn't make it. It was this close. So I arrived at the airport 2 hours in advance, didn't have to check any luggage, only to discover that I was missing a crucial document, which is the electronic visa or ESTA, if you have a transit in the US, regardless of how long that transit is. I thought that just because my transit was only a couple hours in Orlando, I wouldn't need it. And because I lived in the US for the last 8 years, I never thought about needing a short transit visa and was kind of thrown off by this. I was given an hour to come up with that visa. It can take up to 72 hours. So it was definitely a challenge, but I managed to make a quick application, and just a few minutes after the check-in was actually closing, I received a status change. My ESTA was approved. Then I had 40 minutes before the plane took off. I somehow managed to make it through the security control and arrive to the plane on time, but it was really, really close. So just as I hadn't been able to attend Fukuoka in 2019 because of visa issues, history almost repeated itself. It certainly rhymed, but in the end, the outcome was radically different. This time, I was able to fly. Perhaps it was thanks to the good luck that you wish me in the comments. Shout out to Rob Walker, my friend, for doing so. You know, in life, you might be as prepared and competent as you might be, but you still need luck to succeed. And that's what I had that day, luck. So next thing you know, I arrived into Mexico around midnight, took a taxi straight from Mexico City to Cholula, Puebla, arrived at around 2 a.m. And as I had already foreseen, the internet at the hotel was too slow for me to hold a Zoom class at Oxford University at 4 a.m. Mexico time. But I had already foreseen this, as I said, so I had contacted the organizer, Richard Simcott. Shout outs to Richard, so helpful in this trip, who kindly bought me a SIM card and left it at the reception. So upon arrival, I could claim it, put it on my phone, and have the speed that I needed to hold that Zoom class at Oxford. So I taught that class, and then I slept for 30 minutes and went straight to the Teotihuacan day trip, which was incredible. I really enjoyed it. And then back to the hotel. And that very night, I also had yet another remote Ladino class via Zoom, this time of an intermediate level as opposed to the beginner's level I had taught the night before. So I slept around 3 hours, taught that class, slept another 3 hours, and then started my day. This was the eve of my 3 presentations on Saturday. And then on Saturday, I got up early, worked out, had my last mock presentation on italki with a French tutor. Shout outs to you as well. I'll link your profile in the description so people can take advantage of your expertise. And then I went for my first Ladino workshop, which was about Solitreo, the cursive script used by Sephardi in the Ottoman Empire between the 16th and the 19th centuries. It went great. That gave me even more confidence for the second one, which was a general introduction to Ladino. Again, a great crowd. They asked a lot of questions. They were really excited to learn more about Ladino. So I will be repeating some sort of presentation related to Ladino in the next year. And then it was time for me to prepare for the big presentation. Now, I had anticipated between 150 and 200 participants in my prior video. In the end, there were 133 people registered. So as I said, clearly significantly less than when the Polyglot conference was at its highest prior to the pandemic, featuring between 400 and 500 people. We're still a respectable size. So the presentation went great. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't spotless, but it was never going to be so in a presentation of 50 minutes. So I perhaps had a couple mistakes here and there. I'm looking forward to really watch the tape and see what I can learn from that. But overall, my feeling is that it was a pretty good presentation. The people enjoyed it, that they learned something new. I think the questions reflected this. I would have perhaps welcomed a bit more of polemic for someone whose opinion is different from mine to raise their hands and ask that question. but I never came. I think the fact that the conference is in person has to do with that. People do not feel comfortable holding opposing ideas, which I think is a pity. I think that it is through the respectful debate of opposing ideas that we can grow as thinkers. But perhaps in future editions, I will have the chance to engage in further debates. And concerning the social side, it was great to reunite with many friends, with Kevin and Jason and so many others, Bianca, etc. It was also fantastic to meet some HYPIA members in person for the first time. For those of you who are not familiar with this, HYPIA is the International Association of Hyperpolyglots, link in the description. And as I said, it was fantastic to see in person for the first time people like Sebastián Alarcón. Shout outs to him, keep doing what you're doing. He and many other people were very, very supportive concerning my presentation, and that definitely made a difference. So thank you to all of them. As I said, Richard Sincott, the organizer, was extremely helpful, and his attention to detail was great. So I'm very thankful for that. The day after, I woke up early, made it safe and sound to London, and I then found out that the next year, the Polyglot conference is going to be in Singapore, which is awesome. I was hoping for maybe Cape Town in South Africa, something like that. I thought it was going to be in South Africa because a great deal of emphasis was placed in indigenous cultures of Mexico and diversity and inclusivity. And there's never been a Polyglot conference in Africa so far. So I was pretty convinced this time it will be there in that continent, but I was wrong. It will be in Singapore, which is super exciting. Of course, I'm going to be there, visa issues and pandemics permitting, and I'm really looking forward to it. Were you in the Polyglot conference? How did you find it? Did you enjoy it? Please let me know in the comments down below, and I hope to see you in Polyglot Conference 2023. As always, thanks for watching.